Yeah. Did Riley Strain vanish into thin air on a seemingly ordinary night out in Nashville? March 8, 2024, a night of fraternity camaraderie that took a chilling turn. Riley, along with his fraternity brothers, embarked on an evening of revelry, hopping from one Nashville bar to another. The last known sighting of Riley happened around 9:15 that night at a popular musician's bar, Luke Bryan's bar. 21 minutes later, he's thrown out of that same bar. After this point, 9:36 p.m., the timeline becomes a labyrinth of intrigue and unexplained events. In the early hours of March 9th, a disruptive commotion echoes through the hotel corridors. Is this related to Riley's disappearance? A hotel guest reports a cacophony of slamming doors, heated arguments, and a flurry of people entering and exiting rooms. This disturbance, lasting several hours, could be a significant lead in the investigation. As dawn breaks, a concerning silence falls. Despite Riley's conspicuous absence, his fraternity brothers wait an unusually long time before contacting his parents. The reasons behind this delay remain shrouded in mystery, however, its potential implications cannot be ignored. Every minute counts in a missing person case, and this delay has set back the search for Riley significantly. The fraternity brothers' actions, or rather their lack of action, have raised many questions. Their delay in raising the alarm and their decision to carry on with their planned activities cast a shadow on their role in the events that unfolded. With Riley's absence now clear, the clock begins ticking on a desperate search. Riley's parents arrive in Nashville, their fear tangible, and their determination unwavering. They have traveled from Missouri to Tennessee, driven by the hope of finding their son. They meet with local law enforcement officials, eager to relay every detail, every potential clue that could lead to Riley. There's an air of cooperation, a sense of shared concern. Some of the fraternity brothers are present, appearing to assist with the initial missing person report. Their participation seems earnest, their gestures sincere, but the shadow of the unexplained delay in communication looms over them. The hours turn into a day, the search for Riley intensifies. The fraternity brothers, however, make an unexpected move. They leave the search area, their absence noted by Riley's anxious parents. When they return, they are inexplicably dressed for a formal event, their priorities raising eyebrows. Yet, as the fraternity brothers depart the search area, the atmosphere grows even more puzzling. While Riley's parents scour the city, the fraternity brothers' actions cast a shadow over their sincerity. Midday turns into afternoon, and in a move that raises eyebrows, the brothers, who should be engaged in the search, instead leave the area. They reappear hours later, curiously dressed for a formal event. Their decision to continue with pre-planned festivities while their friend remains unaccounted for further complicates their role in this unfolding mystery. Their return from the event is marked by a dismissive demeanor, adding yet another layer of complexity to the situation. The brothers' seemingly nonchalant attitude contrasts sharply with the increasing desperation of Riley's disappearance, but was instead related to another brother injuring his hand. The truth of this explanation remains shrouded in uncertainty, adding to the growing list of unanswered questions. Further controversy surrounds a vigil held by Riley's college. In what seems like an inexplicable oversight, Riley's family was notified a mere 3 hours before the event, despite living a considerable distance away. The family's exclusion from this act of remembrance only adds to their grief and frustration. As the day ends, the mystery of Riley's disappearance only deepens. Each unanswered question, each inexplicable action casts long shadows over the search, leaving us grappling with the chilling unknown. 2 weeks of tireless searching of hope and despair culminate in a gut-wrenching discovery. The voiceover speaks with a solemn tone, the words heavy with the weight of loss. Riley's body is found in the Cumberland River, a tragic end to the desperate quest for answers. The narration pauses, a moment of silence to honor the young life lost. The discovery, far from providing closure, only adds to the mounting questions. How did Riley end up in the river? What events led to this heartbreaking conclusion? The voiceover's tone shifts to one of determination. The fraternity brothers' actions come under renewed scrutiny. Their dismissive demeanor, their unexplained absence during the search, their conflicting stories, all are examined in the harsh light of this grim discovery. The voiceover concludes on a somber note. As the investigation continues, the mystery of what happened to Riley remains unsolved. His family, his friends, and the community are left grappling with the cruel reality of his untimely end, seeking answers in a sea of heartbreaking questions.
It's
well, you probably shouldn't drink it then. He goes, well, it tastes like barbecue. And I go, well, that sounds awful. And he said, well, it sounds good, but it's not.
News Nation has exclusively learned where exactly Riley was that night and when.
Well, I'm just thinking about, celebrity bars involved. You've got Nashville, which is a huge tourist destination. You've got a big fraternity with chapters all over the country. A lot of people who probably just...
We're not going to stop until we get satisfied with some sort of answer somewhere. Because it still doesn't make sense.
It's still a mission. You know, the objective is still the same, to find out what really happened, because everything we're seeing, it doesn't add up. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. You know, if it was, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Back with me tonight is Chris Dingman, a friend of Riley Strain's family. Chris, great to have you back on the show. You agree with Riley's family that he didn't fall into the river by accident. You have some pictures that you've taken to help explain why. It was a very steep embankment that had a lot of rocks, a lot of trees. You say it's impossible to fall down it without getting some sort of mark on your body.
Yeah, it's the terrain right there. We've been trying to explain to people from day one. It's just extreme terrain. The police actually tied off ropes to rappel at that picture we're currently looking at to get to that point. So, yeah, the families had a real big issue with that. We actually had, and we're thankful, we actually had a local Nashville native that actually took a tire from that picture that we're looking at right there and rolled it off of that ledge and down towards the river. And the tire never made it past that first ledge after that 21 feet. That tire's going to bounce a lot more than a body would, you know, not to sound morbid, but there's just no physical way Riley could have fallen on any type of those lengths or diameters and not had any serious body problems with him.
You went to this homeless encampment that's near the river, and that police have said it was possible Riley fell from down into the river. And you say after being at that encampment, there's no way he could have fallen from there either.
It's like an absolute jungle. We actually had the gentleman do a video of it, and they're called like switchbacks when you're hiking. They switch back and forth going up extreme terrain just so you're able to do it. And just walking through the gate where, quote unquote, may have been the other option as far as Metro Nashville thinks, there is no clear visible shot to the water, let alone the fact Riley would have had to went by the homeless camps and the people staying in them to even get to the water.
At one point also, I've been, you know, from the very start of this thing, I've asked you and Riley's stepdad when he was on the show as well, and his dad, about the possibility that he was drugged that night. His mom said that he texted her and said that his rum and coke tasted weird, like barbecue, he said. Do you think it's possible that he was drugged? We know he only had one alcoholic beverage at that last bar before being basically kicked out.
We have had, and even today, I've had a dozen more people reach out to me from that story coming out last night that unfortunately have had that incident, have been drugged down on Nashville. and recently that they had woken up, passed out in vehicles, leaning next to buildings. So I think Nashville definitely has an issue with what's going on in the bar scene down there. I'm not calling out any bars. It's like any major city. But from what Riley had texted to his mom and what other people that have literally had that happen to them in Nashville recently reach out to us, it could be a possibility.
Okay, I've got to ask you, I'm still, ever since you guys revealed on this show a few weeks ago that you hadn't heard from the Fraternity brothers since the night he went missing, our audience, I know, I was shocked to hear this. Have you seen any pictures or videos that these young men may have posted? I mean, first of all, this is a bunch of fraternity brothers on a road trip from Columbia, Missouri, where Mizzou is, to Nashville, Tennessee. You know, they're bar hopping. I've got two sons around that age. They're constantly walking around with their phones, taking pictures and videos.
Yep.
Anything from that night?
You know, we've gotten nothing. And on top of that, I thought maybe even after the parents doing their interview last night that maybe a parent of one of the fraternity brothers or sorority sisters per se got more of a conscience than they had and, you know, started talking to their kids and trying to get info. And at this moment, we have crickets. There's nothing that's been said or produced at all.
Nothing at all.
No.
And once again, just to put a point on this, while you were at the emergency room and when you were frantically searching for Riley, at some point you saw those fraternity brothers getting home from their night out on the town.
Actually, that was Chris and Michelle and Riley's stepdad. And yes, they were sitting outside the hotel in the truck. And actually the kids walked back by and waved at him and made eye contact with him coming home from their party. So it's extremely frustrating. It's probably a good thing that I wasn't there. You know, I'm just old school. I will say this, you know, we've actually had some incredible people in Nashville that has been boots on the ground for the Strain family, for us, constantly trying to find information and leads. We found out today that one of the detectives, or possibly both the detectives from Metro Nashville, is actually at a police training seminar this week. So we're hoping that maybe they show back up and they learn something in their seminar that can help us figure out what happened to Riley. So we're still trying to get answers.
Yeah, I understand. But Chris, you have to also understand, probably there might be people out there saying this family just can't accept that he just might have fallen in. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes.
Oh, 100%. And
yeah.
You know, if you've not been there and physically seen the terrain or known the kind of outdoorsman, whether Riley was drugged or not, we have no witnesses saying he left the sidewalk and went any farther than that.
Okay.
We have witnesses up within 10 foot of where he supposedly went missing now. Nobody says he walked over the retaining wall or went through that fence.
Okay.
So now that you've looked at the terrain and see how drastic it is, even if Riley would have fallen at one spot, you've still got 30 feet before to even get to the water. That's after falling over 20 feet.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to...
You had this remarkable interview with Riley Strain's entire family, his parents and his step-parents, and they've revealed to you all sorts of information about the disappearance and death of Riley that we never knew before, including, and this was something that was so distressing to me, the 911 call suggesting that the operator said, don't worry about it, he's probably just off with some bridesmaids somewhere and he'll turn up. I'm paraphrasing, but it was uncomfortable to hear a cavalier attitude to someone calling for help from the authorities. Tell me a little bit more about what you've been learning about the route that Riley took that night before he ended up on the riverbank.
Yeah, and the rain has stopped, Ashley. Again, the weather has just been crazy in this part of the country. But yeah, Riley Strain, of course, the young college student who went missing in Nashville, was there partying with his frat brothers beginning of March. tragic story. Before I came here to Kansas and Oklahoma, I was in Missouri meeting with his parents, and they revealed all sorts of new information that we had never heard before. They had been focused on grieving, and before that, finding Riley, and now they're opening up about all of these other details about what they've learned happened that night. They were able to get Riley's bank records now, and we now have a look, and we have a map at exactly which bars he went to. We knew Luke Bryan's bar, but we now know all the bars, and we know the order that he attended those bars. It was Miranda Lambert's bar first, Garth Brooks' bar second, Kid Rock's bar third, and then he ended up at Luke Bryan's bar fourth. And again, they've figured this out by looking at his bank records, and they've revealed something else that they've never talked about before, Ashley. It's shocking. It is a conversation, a text message conversation that Riley had with his mother at one of those bars. They're not sure which one he was at, not Luke Bryan's bar, but one of the ones before. I want you to listen to what they said.
He had sent me a text and said that he had ordered he was drinking a rum and coke and it didn't taste good. And I said, well, you probably shouldn't drink it then. He goes, well, it tastes like barbecue. And I go, well, that sounds awful. And he said, well, it sounds good, but it's not.
When a rum and coke normally tastes the same, I mean, that's not something that you really normally tastes any different.
Right.
It has a very consistent taste.
Yes, yes. And that's why I'm like, you probably shouldn't drink that then.
Do you think that could have something to do with what happened?
Yeah, maybe there was something in it that shouldn't have been.
I mean, even if there wasn't foul play at the river, but if something happened in the bar, that's the kind of thing that could hurt someone else.
Exactly, exactly.
And you hear about that happening to women, but it likely happens to men too, I'm sure.
From the stories that we've been told from Uber drivers and just different individuals that reached out to us that either happened to a family member or happened to them in Nashville, there's something there.
There's something going on in that town.
It just feels like it just feels like you come up to a stopping point. Every time we get somewhere, it just feels like there's something holding everybody back from fully giving us what we need, and there's just something there. There is something there. It's just,
be it money or bad publicity.
Right. We don't know, but we truly want to try to help, this situation and help others.
Nobody needs to go through what we've had to go through, the way that we've had to go through it. I mean, they're still telling us it's an accident. Fine. Show me the proof that you have that it's an accident. I'll accept it.
So now, Ashley, questions of whether Riley was roofied based on that conversation that he had with his mom, and obviously the way that he was acting in some of the surveillance video that didn't make sense. We've learned there's a state investigation now on top of the local investigation, which apparently has ended and isn't continuing. The state now looking at cameras from the bars, according to the family, trying to figure out, what he drank. Did someone slip something in his drinks? All of that now being looked at, Ashley.
Well, I sure hope that the state investigators, if they find that someone slipped something into his drink and he died as a result of it, I hope they charge that person with felony murder, because drugging someone is a felony. And when someone dies as a result of your felony, you get charged with resulting murder. That is so distressing to hear that. Brian, excellent digging, and I know that there's a lot more. By the way, please go get shelter. Thank you for, doing this in such bad weather down there, and all the digging and all the double duty today, Brian. Thank you so much. Excellent job.
Thanks, Ash.
And I've got a whole lot more of Brian's exclusive interview with Riley Strain's parents coming up after the break, because while they were on the ground in Nashville, and they were personally searching everywhere they could, what were Riley's frat brothers doing? Riley's mom and dad said they could not believe how these young men behaved, and you may not believe it either. Hear it all next. Riley Strain's mother says there is a hole in her heart, and it is not just the loss of her son. It is the lack of answers from people who should know by now. how Riley went from alive and texting outside a Nashville bar to dead in the Cumberland River. Nashville police are still insisting it was a tragic accident and nothing more. But the family is not buying that. As for Riley's brothers at his fraternity at the University of Missouri, you may be shocked when you hear how they reacted to Riley's real family when that family needed support the most. Not only that, we got more now of an interview you'll see now only on News Nation about that drink, about the disappearance, and about what happened afterwards. Here's Riley Strain's mom and dad and step-parents with our Brian Enton.
They've got a mountain of evidence that they're working on filtering through, and he has been in contact several times throughout this whole investigation.
Do you think that could lead to some answers in terms of maybe if there was something in the drink? I would think there's got to be all sorts of cameras.
So we heard there was 150 cameras in Luke Bryan's bar, I believe it was. We hope that'll lead to something.
So, you know, it's interesting because he wasn't in Luke Bryan's as long as we thought. You know, according to what the detectives told us timeline this week, you know, he'd left Garce and went to Kid Rock's and then spent an hour in Kid Rock's, then showed up at Luke Bryant's at 9:15, I believe is what the detective told us. He was in Luke Bryant's from 9:15 to 9:36, 21 minutes. He had one beer, 2 waters. You know, last time I checked, every time you go into these bars, you have to show ID, probably have to pay a cover, and so if he didn't meet the protocol to be in there after being in there 21 minutes, I can't imagine a lot changed in that 21 minutes from when he was paying to get in.
Well, I'm just thinking about, you know, you've got celebrity bars involved. You've got Nashville, which is a huge tourist destination. You've got a big fraternity with chapters all over the country. A lot of people who probably just would prefer that you guys stop doing these interviews.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not going to stop until we get satisfied with some sort of answer somewhere. Because where we're at right now still doesn't make sense.
It's still a mission. You know, the objective is still the same, to find out what really happened, because everything we're seeing, it doesn't add up. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. You know, if it was, we wouldn't be sitting here.
The fraternity brothers had not gone to the police when they called you?
Not that I am aware of.
Were you surprised?
Yes. Because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they have called the police when they got back at 3:15 in the morning and didn't see him then? Why wouldn't they have called the police? I don't know.
So 7 or 8 hours had gone by from the time they got back to the hotel to when they called you. Do you have any idea why they didn't call the police until then?
I don't know.
We called them on the way down, and it was probably close to 12 o'clock, and they were just going to the sheriff's detention center, to the sheriff's office to report him missing. That was probably 12:15, 12:30, somewhere in there.
So 2 more hours had gone by from the initial call.
Yeah.
They still hadn't gone to the police.
Yeah, 14 hours after his last ping of where his phone was.
Do you think they were just scared, or do you have any idea why?
It's $1 million question.
So what happened when you got to Nashville?
So when we got there, all the boys were out, well, not all the boys, but several of the boys were out front with a police officer. And we had to finish filling out the report. So we completed that, and the boys stayed out for a while. And then they all of a sudden disappeared, all of the boys. And they ended up back out a little while later in their dress clothes to go out to their formal that night.
They went to the formal?
Yeah.
I mean, these are his fraternity brothers?
Fraternity brothers, roommates.
roommates.
Friends from high school.
We spent the next 4.5 hours searching every emergency room to see if he was in the hospital. We come back and they're coming back, some of them from the party, and they're waving at us as we're sitting in the truck. How's that make you feel?
I would have thought they would have all banded together like a search group that night.
Yeah, 150, 160 of them on the ground, you know, there from all different chapters. And, you know, they told us that they were there. All of them were there if we needed them. We didn't know what we needed at that point in time, but you would have thought that, you know, they would have at least been out searching, trying to do something. Wasn't.
Or something.
So the night after he went missing, you were out searching, and the fraternity brothers were partying. What were you thinking?
We weren't very happy with them, to say the least. It's appalling.
You all received a letter from someone else who was staying at the same hotel who described a little bit of what they heard that night that Riley went missing. I just want to read part of it. At first I thought it was a bunch of drunk college kids being jealous of girlfriend-boyfriend stuff, but it was too loud and went on too long. They were in halls. I could hear them between the walls. The doors for the hotel rooms are very heavy, so they slam when you let them shut. I woke up at 3:15 a.m. to numerous doors slamming, kids in the hall, both boys and girls, having very loud discussions, going back and forth from rooms multiple times. It was like new kids kept showing up on the floor during the entire period. These kids were freaking out about something. Were you ever able to find out what was going on in the hotel that night?
From one of the friends that I talked to this week, apparently he had hurt his hand that night. Didn't really specify what he had done, but apparently it had to do with a hurt hand that night and people being emotional about it. Apparently it didn't have anything to do with Riley.
Do you think there's information that his frat brothers have that they're not sharing?
I feel like yes, maybe. You know, I mean, I haven't sat down and talked to any of them to say, tell me your whole entire story. Would I like that? Yeah, yes, it would be nice.
Now that you've found Riley, do you feel like you have a different purpose in terms, I mean, do you want to know everything that happened? Is there like a hole? How would you describe it?
Oh, of course, there's a hole in my heart. There always will be. And we may never know what happened that night, and that makes it even worse for me. But yeah, I would like to know everything that happened that day.
I don't understand why they haven't reached out to us wanting to provide information of that night. You know, maybe I'm crazy, but why should we have to reach out to them and beg them for information on a missing brother?
Did his brothers come to the funeral?
They did. They were shuttled down on a bus, basically chaperoned through. They were loaded back up on a bus and back to school they went again.
Do you think the fraternity is trying to protect the fraternity? I mean, in terms of like a lawsuit or reputation, or I mean, what do you think is happening behind the scenes?
I think it's a reputation blow.
I do.
Yep.
There were a couple of things that happened over this last week. They had a memorial service for him in Columbia, and we were notified 3 hours before. Well, we know it takes 3 hours to get to Columbia. I mean, I thought this was a brotherhood, you know.
Riley Strain's parents with our own Brian Enton. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
And then
You had this remarkable
Every time I hear about a young person dying because of hazing, it tears me up inside. Because, truthfully, I've been a part of the problem. For too long, I've held back from talking about the hazing I experienced out of loyalty to my fraternity, because of my fear of the consequences, and because I didn't want to be seen as a snitch. But that all ends now. The news clips we see often become background noise, but tell a familiar and recurring story.
A hazing that left a fellow student beaten to death.
A ritual called the glass ceiling, a gauntlet meant to represent the plight of Asian Americans.
The final act of their initiation process was to go into that river as boys and come out as men of honor.
Cal State Northridge student collapses in the mountains. He was on a hike with other young men who were trying to join a fraternity.
18-year-old Birch drank during a fraternity ritual, leaving him with a blood alcohol level 6 times the legal limit.
is it back? Oh, it's back.
At college, but over the years, too many lives have been lost at some fraternities during hazing rituals. These grieving parents think that that might stop if young people knew their stories. Our Lisa Guerrero is here to tell some of them.
This is our son Ryan, who was killed due to idiocy at a hazing event.
This is my beautiful son, Colin Wyatt. He was 18 years old when he died from fraternity hazing.
This is our son Tim, who died as a result of a fraternity hazing event.
This is Adam Oakes. Death was due to a hazing incident, alcohol poisoning.
7 young men, all victims of hazing rituals. Like this.
I am telling you, no parent should ever send their child off to campus, to college, and not have them come home.
They were all told that they had to go down to the basement. I think they were all blindfolded.
This surveillance video shows a rare look at a booze-fueled hazing event, common in frats across the country, known as Big Brother Night or Pledge Dad Reveal Night.
It was the Pledge Dad Reveal Night. They were handed a bottle of alcohol. In Danny's case, he was handed a bottle of Tito's, and they were told to drink it.
That's Mary Pat and Tom Santuli's son, Danny, with a liter of vodka.
I believe it was taped to his hand.
Cops say Danny's pledge dad forced him to drink the equivalent of 20 shots, plus do a full beer bong. He later went into cardiac arrest from alcohol poisoning. In the video shared with us by the Santuli's attorney, David Bianchi, you can see Danny fall over. He later slides off this couch onto his head.
They don't know what to do. They're afraid to call 911, so they don't. And they pick him up. They drop him on his head. Surveillance video, you would think, would incentivize these guys not to do this stuff. But they do it anyway.
And this is Danny today, wheelchair-bound from permanent brain damage.
Danny is the most horribly injured fraternity pledge ever in the United States. He's blind, cannot speak.
He lost his vision and he cannot talk.
Jack and Wendy Abell says their son Ryan went through a similar frat hazing ritual at the University of Nevada in Reno.
It was a Big Brother reveal night where each of 30 pledges were handed a bottle of booze and a full 750 milliliter bottle of alcohol. In Ryan's case, it was 100 proof. And they were expected to drink the bottle. The goal was to also get them all drunk and vomiting.
Extremely intoxicated, Ryan later died from head trauma after falling down a flight of stairs. Timothy Piazza's parents say he fell down a flight of stairs after he was told to drink 18 shots in 82 minutes while pledging a frat at Penn State University.
It's not the same hazing that happened 20, 30 years ago. It is not just streaking and swallowing goldfish. It is hard alcohol, deadly hard alcohol.
We have a friend who's unconscious. He hasn't moved. He's probably in an ambulance.
Was there any alcohol or anything involved, do you know?
Yes, there is.
His parents say Timothy lay there in distress for over 12 hours before brothers called 911. According to published reports, there have been close to 80 college students who've died in hazing incidents connected to Greek life in the past 15 years. The vast majority of them related to alcohol abuse.
Adam Jeffrey Oakes, age 19, died suddenly on Saturday, February 27, 2021 in Richmond, Virginia.
Just last year, freshman Adam Oakes died from alcohol poisoning after his big brother forced him to drink a handle of booze in under an hour.
My son was joining a fraternity, and his big brother bought him a handle of alcohol and coerced him to drink it in under an hour.
Andrew was Adam's big brother.
As part of a plea agreement, several members of the now permanently banned frat are speaking out publicly about what they did to Adam.
I was charged with misdemeanor hazing, and I think that was an accurate charge on my part. I think being the president of the fraternity, I had this position of power, and I chose the wrong path and the wrong road.
The video is part of an upcoming hazing docuseries called Protect This House.
In 2021, there were 6 deaths due to hazing.
Many of these parents now travel the country speaking to pledges and students, urging them to report hazing incidents.
Hazing's only reported 5% of the time.
Tyler Perino is one of the few to report it.
Big Brother night, that was the most I had ever drank in that short amount of time in my life.
He says on his Big Brother night at Delta Tau Delta, frat brothers hazed him with a bottle of whiskey and a 6-pack, and then paddled him repeatedly.
So I was taken out on a stretcher from my dorm to the ambulance and then taken to the hospital.
His blood alcohol was nearly 3 times the legal limit.
It was the worst nightmare come true. We obviously are very lucky that he's still here with us.
Today, he and his mom, Lori, and all these folks want pledges to know it's okay to say no and walk away. And more importantly, not be afraid to call 911 if something goes wrong. In Danny Santuli's case,
No one called 911.
the Santuli's attorney says Andrew's Law in Florida, named after Andrew Kofi, a pledge who died from alcohol poisoning after being forced to drink an entire bottle of whiskey, should be enacted nationwide.
It says that if you are the first person to call 911 after a hazing event where somebody's in trouble, even if you're the person that did the hazing, even if you're the one who handed him the bottle of alcohol, if you're the first one to call 911 to try to save his life, or if you're administering CPR and trying to help him while help is on the way, you will not be prosecuted. You will have immunity.
How many of you believe that your loved one would be okay today if someone had called 911 earlier? Is there any way to stop fraternity hazing?
I think they need to tell their kids to understand all our stories, to understand what happened, because, you know, kids think, well, it can't happen to me. It does happen, it did happen, it will happen again until things change.
My goal, and many of us parents, our goal is to speak to college students, to high school students, so that we can raise awareness. We do not want any other families in what is in this club of parents who have frankly lost their child senselessly to hazing. We want to make a difference, we want to educate, and we want to make sure that this does never happen again.
And we'll just keep fighting and we'll never give up.
18 Syracuse University students face possible expulsion over disturbing videos of young men at a fraternity engaged in offensive behavior. A new second video was published online over the weekend. It appears to show Theta Tau members simulating a sexual assault on a man in a wheelchair. The university, which expelled the Theta Tau chapter, said the students made several offensive videos. Jerika Duncan is outside the fraternity house in Syracuse, New York, where the videos were recorded. Jerika, good morning.
Good morning. All is quiet here right now, and there's a public safety officer parked in front of this house. University officials say that 18 of those Theta Tau members have been removed from classes, and that today even more members could face disciplinary actions. Now, that video is difficult to watch, but it was not released by the university. Instead, it was the student newspaper, the Daily Orange, that released and obtained that disturbing video.
He's drooling out of his mouth because he's in a wheelchair.
The newest video surfaced Saturday and shows what appears to be Theta Tau brothers pretending to sexually assault a disabled man in a wheelchair.
Jack is totally unaware of this life rape that's occurring.
A video released last week apparently shows members joking about the Holocaust and using racial and anti-Semitic slurs.
White people.
Syracuse University permanently expelled the Theta Tau chapter over the weekend and charged 18 students with undisclosed offenses. The students, whom the school will not identify because of federal privacy law, are banned from classes during the disciplinary process. They will attend alternative study arrangements instead. Syracuse President Kent Siverud.
Outcomes could include suspension or expulsion from Syracuse University.
Students are calling on the university to release more of the fraternity's videos, but Siverud has so far resisted, saying he wants to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation.
I was heartbroken.
Sophomore Priya Penner says she hopes the school will expel the students involved.
This video is just one example of what we deal with as marginalized folks. It's saying to them and to me that disabled lives and disabled people aren't worth seeing as people.
Theta Tau members apologized for the video last week, which it said was intended to be satire. Members say they don't really hold the views that were expressed in those videos. Meanwhile, the dean of students here at Syracuse says the school will meet with some of the 18 students to decide on punishment. Nora?
All right. CBS 2 investigator Dave Savini is on the case of a teen who says he was repeatedly hazed during his high school's football summer camp.
But when he reported the assault to his coaches, the teen told Dave that things only got worse for him.
Every time you heard smoke, somebody was getting bent over.
Anthony Brookman said smoke was the trigger word for a hazing ritual on his high school football team.
He says he was an incoming freshman when he got smoked by bigger and older players at a school-sponsored summer football camp here at Reed Custer High School in Braidwood.
I was yelling for help, just screaming, crying, barely breathing.
He said it happened 3 times in 2 months. The third, he said, involved them attempting to assault him sexually.
They put the shirt over my head, took my shorts off to my ankles.
He was rushed to the hospital.
They put him through a rape test. And that's about what broke me down.
Brookman's parents say they reported their son's attack to the head football coach.
We're out here to talk about this hazing case.
Sure.
The head coach at the time, Mark Wolf, wouldn't talk to us about the hazing allegations.
What went on?
All questions right now are being asked to be responded through to the superintendent's office.
We've learned Braidwood police did investigate, and the Will County State's Attorney's Office charged 3 players as juveniles with aggravated battery in a public way, a felony.
As a coach, as a former coach, what do you have to say about hazing in general?
Brookman says after the charges, he started to get bullied for coming forward, and life got even worse as other students started piling on, bullying him.
They would just tell me to kill myself.
Brookman just recently switched to a new school. The 3 teens are back in court in January. If convicted, they could get anywhere from probation to being locked up until they are 21. Braidwood School Superintendent would not talk about Brookman's case. It just said they have policies they follow about behavior. Dave Savini, CBS 2 Investigators.
Well, last week we first were to show you police body camera footage from the November 2019 morning that WSU freshman Sam Martinez was found dead. Now, he died of alcohol poisoning after an event at the university's chapter of the Alpha Tau Omega Fraternity.
So we also obtained Snapchat video from that night showing the events that led up to his death. Our investigative reporter Ian Smay went through those videos, the body cam video, and also spoke with one of Martinez's best friends who spoke with Sam on the day of that fraternity party. He's joining us here in the newsroom tonight to show what happened that evening and how his best friends remember him. Ian?
Yeah, we obtained body camera footage from the Pullman Police Department. It shows the immediate aftermath after Martinez was found dead that morning as officers responded to the scene and began interviewing members of that fraternity. The police also found video from the social media app Snapchat.
Yes, he did. And that's the kind of mentality that is taken whenever people are pressed about this issue, whether it be in colleges or in high schools. It's like, oh, what's the matter with the little sissy? Like, it's a rite of passage. You know, just suck it up and you know, then once you get through it, then you'll be able to do it to someone else once you've earned your stripes. That's fucking horseshit. That is just absolutely. I don't know what the difference between that type of shit right there and gangs, besides the fact that one of them, like I've said dozens of times, one of them wears bandanas and sags their pants, and the other one wears suits and ties and have scholarships or whatever. You know, like what is the difference? There's nothing about the what do they do besides have good connections and whatever else? You know, what do they do productively that even has anything to do with what they're studying? What do they do that is such an educational advantage that these kids are even wanting to do it? Most of them are doing it because their dads did it and their uncles did it and their moms did it, their grandpas did it, and it's like a family tradition, or because they think that it gives them acceptance, which is no different than why most people get involved in gangs. It's because they have problems at home and they want to be accepted and they want to feel protected and they want to feel part of something. What makes one any better than the other? I'll wait. I will wait. Please, if someone can explain that to me, make it make sense. I mean, it really, really is just a bunch of rich douchebags. I'm sorry. Not sorry. That's what it is. And you realize, like, it's one thing to be a bully and like, okay, this is what you're doing to your senior members, but for you to be doing it to the freshmen, the fresh meat coming in, that is like speaks volumes to your character. You're a spineless fucking buffoon, and you get off on shit that is disgusting to even do, but to do it to someone that is vulnerable and is this is a new experience and they're looking up to you for guidance and acceptance, and that is fucking terrible. No way in hell you could pay me $1 million to be in any type of brotherhood that treats their fellow brothers like that. Especially the younger, more less. That's just textbook bullying. Why don't you go pick on somebody your own size? And this is the example you're creating for them to look up to. So what? They have to live up to your standards. Heaven forbid they don't participate. I can only imagine what happens to them there. We don't know because we only know the stories that get told. Can you imagine the shit that goes on in that place on a weekly basis, monthly basis, daily basis that doesn't get reported? Could you just imagine being a fly on the wall in there? And it's crazy because all the frat houses, they're wired for sound. But good luck getting your hands on any footage. Not that's going to come from the university. The hell no, they'll fight you tooth and nail. You better hope another student's over there on the slide on their phone recording it, and if they get outed for sharing it, oh, they're probably not going to be a student there anymore because they will get actually, the school will take measures of penalizing and disciplining them, but not the fucking assholes who are doing it. Because it's a rite of passage. It's a way of life. Pish posh. We're going to listen to this and then we're going to get into the stuff about Riley and why I think it's relevant and what I now am kind of leaning more toward. I don't even know. I don't know at this point what I think happened, but I know for a fact he didn't fall in that water and it wasn't accidental. I just don't know which element of foul play I'm going to put my chips on now because I am now leaning more towards this fraternity shit after the most recent interview, but we're going to get into that. Let's finish this video and ultimately bring some awareness to what is going on. And when you send your kids to college, they're supposed to come back with a higher education and life skills and life experiences and be better people. But you don't know if you don't know that your kid's going to come back at all, or if they do, they're going to come back with PTSD and they're traumatized for the rest of their life because they tried to make it through spring rush week, which is another relevant thing. Emphasis on the spring. I get it that Riley wasn't a freshman, but however, douchebags will be douchebags. Maybe Riley stuck up for a freshman and he had to eat the punishment. I mean, I could see Riley being that type of kid from the stories I've heard, but we're going to get into that. We're going to watch this. It's only a few minutes.
Showing the event from the night before. It's giving us a previously unseen look and first-hand account of the events that led to the death of a 19-year-old beloved by his family and friends.
Sam was he was such a goofball. He could make everybody laugh, but he had this really loving, gentle side that I really loved about Sam, and that's how we connected a lot.
Loving, dazzling, a gentle soul. All words used by Sam Martinez's friends and family to describe the late 19-year-old from Bellevue. Nicole Ballard says she knew Martinez for 8 years and considered him to be her best friend before his death on November 12th, 2019.
Sam was a huge part of my life. He was like a little brother that I didn't have and a best friend.
Martinez was found dead the morning after an event at the Alpha Tau Omega Fraternity chapter at Washington State University. The Whitman County coroner determined that he died of alcohol poisoning. Through a public records request, CREM 2 obtained body camera footage and Snapchat videos used as part of the Pullman Police Department's criminal investigation. Videos on Snapchat from Martinez and others show the events the night before Martinez died. It was Big Little Night, an event where freshman fraternity members are paired up with an older member who acts as their mentor or family. That night, Martinez found out his big brother would be Wesley Oswald. Oswald's interview with police was captured by a body camera.
Yo,
they all showed up. I had 2 littles, him and another guy, and I had a half cow. And I never once forced him to drink. I just had the half cow. And, he took a good amount of pulls, and he seemed like he was okay.
According to those who spoke with police, it was tradition for a big brother to pass down the family drink to their little brother. Police heard allegations that the older members of the fraternity possibly hazed the pledges or new members, including by trying to get them as drunk as possible, according to police records describing interviews with some of Martinez's friends.
It was big and little reveal night, and all the pledges were hazed to drink a fifth of vodka each, and heard that he was just left alone for a long period.
Some of that drinking was caught on Snapchat shot by Martinez himself, but another fraternity member, Finn Anderson, told police it was a choice for the younger members.
If they want to do it, it's Big Little Nights. You're like, yes, we have alcohol. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna hang out and drink all night and stuff like that.
Records show witnesses told police Martinez was heavily intoxicated by about 10 p.m. After originally laying him down in fraternity president Luke Hawksford's room, Martinez was moved by Oswald and a group of freshmen.
So we just took him down to the chapter room, laid him down on the couch, put his head down, so if he stood up, he wouldn't choke on it. And then I checked him at least 3 or 4 times just tonight, so did other people, and every time he was asleep. And then I just got woken up this morning and he wasn't.
Martinez would be found dead, face down on the couch the next morning. Ballard got a call from her sister with the tragic news.
I was very shocked to see that it was Sam that had passed. He just he has this light that you just want to be around, and it's beautiful, and I feel so lucky that I got to spend so much of Sam's very short life with him.
His blood alcohol level was 0.372. Heavy drinking was part of what Ballard says was a toxic culture that Sam had described.
He shared with me some of the stuff that was happening at Alpha Tau Omega, and just the terrible environment that it created. I think Sam was very stubborn sometimes, and so he was always saying that he could do it, that he could get through it.
WSU suspended the fraternity until May 2026. In the loss of recognition letter, WSU made a strong statement, saying if the allegations were true, Alpha Tau Omega had violated the university's hazing rules. But Hawksford, the fraternity president, refuted this to police the morning Martinez was found.
Yeah, we've been really trying to crack, ever since I've been president, we've been trying to crack down on hazing, because my freshman year we went through a membership review, which you might know about, and I don't know all the reasons for it, but part of that was hazing. I got hazed. So we know what happens when you do that.
But no one has faced hazing charges. The statute of limitations ran out by the end of the investigation. Pullman Police Chief Gary Jenkins said this was due to a number of factors. The largest were trouble accessing applications on Martinez's cell phone and witnesses not being fully cooperative. But 15 people, including Oswald Anderson and Hawksford, are facing charges of furnishing liquor to a minor, a gross misdemeanor in Washington punishable by a year in jail, a $5,000 fine, or both. For Sam's friends and family, the charges don't mean justice is being served.
It is not justice for us. We live every day with the loss of our Sam, and it's just unbearable. These charges are very minor charges against these 15 people, and none of it can bring Sam back.
Wesley Oswald and Luke Hawksford declined to comment for our story. An Alpha Tau Omega spokesperson also declined to comment because of ongoing litigation. Our attempts to reach
Okay, guys, I want to show you guys this one because this one is the exact school, not only the exact school, but the exact fraternity that Riley was a part of. This is Mizzou, a University of Missouri, and it is the Delta Phi chapter.
To the family of a University of Missouri student who suffered a devastating brain injury after allegedly being pressured to drink a bottle of vodka during a fraternity pledge party. They're speaking to ABC News as we get a first look at surveillance video from that tragic night. Will Reeve is back and he spoke with the family. Good morning again, Will.
Hey there, Michael. Missouri freshman Danny Santulli was just 18 years old when he nearly died from alcohol poisoning at a fraternity pledge event last fall. His family believes he was hazed, and now they're demanding hazing charges be filed against the people they're holding responsible for their son's severe and permanent brain injury.
Danny was always a good kid. He was happy.
This morning, a plea from a family desperate to make sure no one else experiences their pain after their son and brother Danny Santulli nearly died while pledging a fraternity at the University of Missouri.
I saw Danny in the medical ICU at the hospital at Mizzou, and it's just a bunch of tubes everywhere, and that's an image that will probably never leave my head.
Now, for the first time, the public seeing surveillance footage from inside the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity house on the night of October 19th. Shortly after 9 p.m., pledges can be seen blindfolded and led downstairs for a ritual known as Pledge Dad Reveal Night. According to the family's civil lawsuit that was recently settled against 23 defendants, Danny, an 18-year-old freshman, was pressured to drink an entire bottle of vodka.
They were given their family bottle of alcohol. And then they drank from it, and they took them upstairs, and for the next 2 hours, they drank and drank and drank. We see one of the fraternity members putting a tube in Danny's mouth with a funnel at the other end and pouring beer down his throat while Danny is in the middle of consuming an entire bottle of vodka. That's on the video.
Just before 11 p.m., Danny can be seen losing his balance and falling backwards. Other fraternity members carry him out of the room, pick him up, and drop him onto a sofa. Around 12:30 a.m., Danny, alone on the sofa, begins to slip onto the floor. As the minutes tick by, he struggles to move, then lies still. After 15 minutes, another fraternity member finds him on the floor unresponsive, then lifts Danny back onto the sofa. Other brothers come into the room. One picks Danny up and carries him toward the door, dropping him on the floor. Then outside, fraternity members carry Danny to a car and drive him to the University of Missouri Hospital.
Just the fact that they knew he was in distress and his lips were blue and nobody called 911. It's like, I don't know. I mean, a 6-year-old calls 911.
When Danny arrived at the hospital, he was in cardiac arrest and not breathing. His blood alcohol level, a near-lethal .486. After 6 weeks in the ICU, Danny was moved to a rehab hospital in Colorado. Now, more than 7 months later, he's back home in Minnesota with his family.
What do the doctors tell you about Danny?
That he'll need care for life. He's still not talking or walking. He's in a wheelchair. He lost his vision. But he hears us and he knows we're there. And we'll just keep fighting, and we're not going to give up hope.
We will get through it. We will get through it.
The University of Missouri has since revoked the fraternity's charter and proposed sanctions against 13 of its members. Prosecutors have charged one fraternity member with 2 misdemeanors for supplying alcohol to a minor. But the family says that's not enough.
Your family believes that Danny was hazed?
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It makes me sick to my stomach seeing the people involved that harmed Danny walking around campus acting like they did nothing wrong.
I do personally want to see specific kids get felony Ds. That's going to wake them up. A misdemeanor is not going to wake them up.
Missouri has what I would call a rather typical hazing statute. And the conduct that occurred that night at Pledge Dad Reveal Night is textbook hazing.
The prosecutor's office saying their investigation is ongoing and, if appropriate, will file additional charges. Danny's mom, Mary Pat, is now his full-time caregiver. His family focusing on celebrating Danny's progress day by day.
At the end of the day, it's still Danny, still looks like Danny, and we're going to love Danny forever, and we'll always be by his side no matter what.
Overnight, the fraternity told ABC News, quote, Danny should not have been put in such a situation, and the fraternity prohibits hazing and giving alcohol to minors. On Monday, the Santullis filed an amendment to their civil suit, adding 2 more fraternity brothers to the case.
Whit.
As that family said, they're going to keep fighting to make a difference. All right, Will, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage,
In most states, they have anti-hazing laws, but like he said, it's not it the charges would stick, but it's getting the people to file the charges that is the problem. I just dropped that was what I just dropped the link for. Eddie, you're such a smart ass. Yeah, they don't see joy in you dick with theirs. That link should take you to it, you guys. Okay, what do I think happened? Well, if that's not the $1,000,000 question, I don't know. Not now, because that has significantly. Okay, let me go back here first because of. So the way that the mom, I'm gonna go back to this part in the interview. Just the part that the dad talks about the incident where the frat brother hurts his hand, okay? That's very interesting to me because when I watched the vigil that the school had for Riley, there was somebody standing in the front that kept smiling that really like my gut kind of just turned whenever I looked, and he was in an arm sling, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if that is like related." And I'm like, "No, what would be the odds of that? Probably sports or something." And then whenever, as soon as I heard Ryan say that, my mind just instantly went back to that moment because I have it written down in my notes. That's how much it like just stood out to me, because he's actively like, why they're having this vigil for Riley, he's sitting there like flipping his hair, like texting on his phone, smiling, smirking, like just I could see the little. Let me keep my comments to myself. I could see how much his fucks were given, you know, right there. And I just wonder if that's the one that hurt his hand. Let's see.
Did Riley's strain vanish into thin
air?
You had this remarkable murder. That is so distressing to hear.
Ever, and
I don't know.
So 7 or 8 hours had gone by from the time they got back to.
That's another thing. They got a letter from somebody who I'm assuming wanted to remain anonymous, that was staying in the hotel on the same floor where the fraternity had rooms reserved or whatever for that weekend. And on the night in question, the person who wrote the letter specifically said that they woke them up out of a dead sleep at about 3:15. Well, if you notice that his mother says, you know, why didn't they call the police at 3:15 when they got back to the room and realized that Riley wasn't there. So that was like my spidey senses going off with that. Like, okay, well, when they got back there, did they realize whatever the hell happened, their prank or whatever they were doing to Riley, that when they didn't end up back in the same place, that, oh shit, like, where is he at? How much effort did they really put into looking for him? And it seems like they just went on a and what happened to his hand? And where were you guys at until 3 in the morning? I mean, holy crap, it was and Riley didn't have his room key either. His room key was in the room. And that's something that I heard in the very, very beginning, and that's always like stood out to me, and I haven't been able to make sense out of like why that would happen. But why would that happen? You know, it almost makes you wonder, like, were they messing with him? Like, oh, look, now he's not gonna be able to get back in the room, and like, were they fucking with this kid? Like, what happened to your hand? Like, what were you horse playing? Like, what the fuck is going on with these little lovely little angels? No, they're no. Little fucking douchebags is what they are. And they're grown, so that's not even offensive. They can just get it like the rest of us, because we're all grown, right? Sue me, sons of bitches. So let's listen to this with keeping your ears on and like keeping your senses more focused on. Do we know who he was roomed with? No. I assume it was the one that called 911, but I don't know that. It's so hush hush. There's just a bunch of assumptions. I don't even know if the one that called 911 at this point is the one that walked down with him when he got thrown out of the bar, but then walked back up, because that's how little is known. They're all just referred to as brothers. Like, but there was 200 of them there, so narrow it down. The only reason we know the one's name that made the call is because the 911 call was released and the kid gave his name on the phone. Other than that, they have not mentioned any names at all. And I mean, I've scoured through every piece of everything about the case. I have scoured through, and they have not been named. Good question.
To the hotel to when.
Because why wouldn't they?
Everything we're seeing, it doesn't add up. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. You know, if it was, we wouldn't be sitting here.
The fraternity brothers had not gone to the police when they called you?
Not that I am aware of.
I didn't post it, Missy's mom, but if you stick around till just a few minutes after this news clip, I can play it, because I did finish it and I have it like in my I have it on my cloud. I just haven't had a chance to share it yet, because I just haven't had time since and I've been kind of waiting to see if Seth's been kind of doing his own thing. So anyway, I will share it right after this though. So give me about 5 minutes.
Were you surprised?
Yes. Because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they have called the police when they got back at 3:15 in the morning and didn't see him then? Why wouldn't they have called the police? I don't know.
So 7 or 8 hours had gone by from the time they got back to the hotel to when they called you. Do you have any idea why they didn't call the police until then?
I don't know.
We called them on the way down, and it was probably close to 12 o'clock, and they were just going to the sheriff's detention center, to the sheriff's office to report him missing. That was probably 12:15, 12:30, somewhere in there.
So 2 more hours had gone by from the initial call.
Yeah.
They still hadn't gone to the police.
Yeah, 14 hours after his last ping of where his phone was.
Do you think they were just scared, or do you have any idea why?
It's $1 million question.
So what happened when you got to Nashville?
So when we got there, all the boys were out. Well, not all the boys, but several of the boys were out front with a police officer. And we had to finish filling out the report. So we completed that, and the boys stayed out for a while. And then they all of a sudden disappeared, all of the boys. And they ended up back out a little while later in their dress clothes to go out to their formal that night.
They went to the formal?
Yeah.
I mean, these are his fraternity brothers?
Mm-hmm. Fraternity brothers, roommates. Friends from high school. We spent the next 4.5 hours searching every emergency room to see if he was in the hospital. We come back and they're coming back, some of them from the party, and they're waving at us as we're sitting in the truck. How's that make you feel?
So let's just recap on what was just said here, because that was a lot to take in. Okay, not only did they not report him missing, didn't even do anything other than, I guess, call his phone on Snapchat a couple of times. Didn't notify his parents. Okay, at 3:15, when they came back in the room and realized he wasn't there, that's still a big gap from when the last time he was with them, which would have been 9:36 p.m. So now we're at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. That's already 6 hours. Okay, if you were any kind of friend, alcohol, drugs, not, you would be panicked and you would feel like shit. Okay. Now, before we move on to what they were doing when they got back to the room, according to the guest that wrote the letter, aside from that, they didn't even contact the parents. One of the brothers called Michelle, Riley's mother, at around 10:30 a.m. and asked her if she heard from Riley, if she knew where he was. And she said, "What do you mean? He's with you. Why would I know? And then she starts panicking and she's like, "Why? What's going on?" "Oh, well, we don't know where he is. He's not in the hotel and we don't know where he went." Oh, she had to tell the kid, the boy, whatever, to call the police. Like, what are you still doing? What are you doing? Go to the police. 2 hours later, they're already packed up, got everything, got the house locked down, everything loaded up in the car, pets situated, all that comes into going on a road trip. And they get on the road about 2 hours later, and the boys were just now getting to the police station. So aside from the 6 hour delay, then you add from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 7 more hours. So 6 plus 7. That's 13 hours. And then add 2 more to when they actually did it. So what we're talking 16-hour delay before they finally notified authorities, and 12 hours before his family was notified. And then you get there, and at the time it took them to drive from Missouri to Tennessee, the report still was not completed because they were still filling it out when they got there, and Michelle had to finish whatever was needed for it to be filed. And then they were out there and for a couple of minutes, and she said they pretty much turned around and looked back, and all of a sudden all the boys were gone. And about an hour or two later, here they come, all of them dressed in their nice clothes and all their nice shoes and stuff, and they went to their formal, like business as usual. And then, while they go to the formal, the family drives around for the next 4 hours, hospital to hospital, to see if Riley's there, going and checking jails to see if he was in booking anywhere, like in a drunk tank. And when they get back from doing that, now mind you, they're completely they're completely out of their element. They are not familiar with the area. They never been to Nashville, from my understanding, and if they have, they're definitely not familiar enough with it to be like driving around hospital to hospital. They're GPSing, and I'm sure getting lost and panicking. Just don't even know what to do at this point. And whenever they get back to the hotel parking lot, they pull in at the same time as some of the boys pull in, and they just smile and wave at them as, you know, they come back from their night of partying. Oh, I guarantee you we haven't been told everything. That's, you know, there's no if and there's not a doubt in my mind. And unfortunately, because of the level of the elite status that this fraternity holds, we'll probably never know, because they'll be protected until they are no longer persons of interest. You know what I'm saying? You know? Yeah, drop some green hearts for Riley, because, you know, everybody looks better in green. That was a quote from Riley himself. And Sebastian's favorite color was green as well. So let's put some green hearts in the chat for Sebastian and for Riley. All right, now let's hear the part about what the guest in the oh, that's awesome. Thank y'all for your green hearts. That's awesome. Hopefully, I don't think he went back. I don't. Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with you there, Eddie, for a change.
I would have thought they would have all banded together like a search group that night.
Yeah, 150, 160 of them on the ground, you know, there from all different chapters. And, you know, they told us that they were there. All of them were there if we needed them. We didn't know what we needed at that point in time, but you would have thought that, you know, they would have at least been out searching, trying to do something. Wasn't.
Or something.
So the night after he went missing, you were out searching, and the fraternity brothers were partying. What were you thinking?
We weren't very happy with them, to say the least. It's appalling.
You all received a letter from someone else who was staying at the same hotel, who described a little bit of what they heard that night that Riley went missing. I just want to read part of it. At first I thought it was a bunch of drunk college kids being jealous of girlfriend-boyfriend stuff, but it was too loud and went on too long. They were in halls. I could hear them between the walls. The doors for the hotel rooms are very heavy, so they slam.
Now listen to this. This is really important, because this person who wrote this letter to the family said that they thought it was kids arguing about boyfriend-girlfriend stuff. That's a weird thing to suspect. Like, let's just zero in on the verbiage and what's being said here. Like, okay, what if you wake up out of a dead sleep at 3:15 in the morning and you're staying in a Hilton hotel? Okay, you can assume when you hear a bunch of commotion that it's probably some drunk college kids, considering where you're renting a room at. I can understand that assumption. But how do you make the jump that they're arguing in their loud, boisterous commotion is boyfriend and girlfriend jealousy? Like, what did they hear that made them assume that's what was happening? Why would that's not just something I would wake up and assume. I would just say it's a bunch of drunk kids. You know, why? That's just very particular to assume. And it makes me wonder what the hell was going on. And I really would want to know if that has anything to do with the good deed being done that's not being talked about, that Riley got singled out and thrown out of the bar by himself only after being in there for 21 minutes. How much of a ruckus could he have been causing for 21 minutes? And we heard Chris say on Pascal's show a couple of weeks ago, probably a week and a half ago now, that the only thing that he could say about the bar was that the boys were like roughhousing or whatever, boys being boys is how it was worded, and that Riley was singled out, zeroed in on, and he was thrown out by himself. So it was him and a group of his frat brothers that were goofing off, but he was the one that was singled out and thrown out by himself. Now make that fucking make sense. That's what I'm almost wonder, like it really. Well, Puff, though, I don't know if that's him in the bar. That was I mean, he's probably in there somewhere, but that's kind of why I sent you that video, to scour it, because I thought I seen him in several spots, but I didn't. I don't think I seen him. It was from that Pierre video or whatever. But I have the clips that I sent to Puff. I just muted them so that you didn't have to hear the crazy like demonic sounding audio when it slowed down, and I slowed it down and then like zoomed in on the dance floor, because it just to show in perspective of like you could see all kind of weird shit happening down there. This was at Kid Rock's. But yeah, I can show that if you want. Absolutely, Cricket Day. That is the biggest thing I know boys to fight about when they start getting of that age is over girls. Right. Yeah, I have to be careful about what I say up here because, oh my God, you're saying misinformation and you don't know. So I believe it is him too, but however, you know, allegedly, in my opinion, blah 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 blah. All that good disclaimer stuff. But listen to the part about the hand thing and then we'll move on. And then actually I want to show this part of the visual so I could show you guys the one that I'm talking about that's in the arm sling and how he's like sitting there smirking. And then I just want y'all to like get a feel for what the fraternity boys look like, because you can see them right there in the front. And then we'll watch this bar footage that I have slowed down and you guys can help me see if we can spot any of them, because clearly they partied all night until 3:15, so they should be all up in the middle of this footage somewhere. And maybe not Riley, but we can see how they were behaving and at least get an idea of their demeanor and what the hell was what they were up to. Like why, and and how bad could Riley have been behaving compared to these little douchebags? Sorry, but not sorry. No, you're good, Puff. You're good. I just honestly, I didn't want to be the, now that you said you've seen it too, like I will I'm not going to be crazy by myself, because I've convinced, you kind of get tunnel vision and I convince myself I see shit all the time, and then someone else that has fresh eyes will be like, no, I don't see that. I think it's wishful thinking. So, all right. So that's what we're going to do in that order. We got a game plan. Look at that. Kayla's got a game plan. She ain't never got a game plan. Did he have a jacket or sweater over his black white shirt? Maybe it was took off and left somewhere. If he's back to his hotel, there would be a CCTV of that. The shirt to me was off and hair on the side. Huh. Yeah, my opinion is it looked like him. Yep. Okay. Well, good. That's all I needed. Confirmation bias. No, I'm just kidding.
When you let them shut. I woke up at 3:15 a.m. to numerous doors slamming, kids in the hall, both boys and
3:15 a.m. Okay, you guys? 3:15 a.m. What did Mom say that what time they got back to the room and realized Riley wasn't there? 3:15 a.m. This person who wrote the letter couldn't know that because we didn't know that. It hasn't been out on the news. So she woke up at 3:15. So that means the commotion started as soon as they got back to the hotel. Yes, safe to assume. Yes, safe to assume. Let's keep going.
Girls, 15 a.m. to numerous. Hear them between the walls. The doors for the hotel rooms are very heavy, so they slam when you let them shut. I woke up at 3:15 a.m. to numerous doors slamming, kids in the hall, both boys and girls. having very loud discussions, going back and forth from rooms multiple times. It was like new kids kept showing up on the floor during the entire period. These kids were freaking out about something. Were you ever able to find out what was?
These kids were freaking out about something. What were they freaking out about? Well, clearly it wasn't about Riley, because that's what you tell his dad. He's about to say it right now. It wasn't about Riley. That's just a coincidence, you guys. A coinkydink. My ass.
Going on in the hotel that night?
From one of the friends that I talked to this week, apparently he had hurt his hand that night. Didn't really specify what he had done, but apparently it had to do with a hurt hand that night, and people being emotional about it. Apparently it didn't have.
The whole floor of kids are running from room to room, having loud discussions, panicking about this kid hurting his hand. I call bullshit. How'd you hurt your hand? Maybe that's what they're panicking about? And maybe that just so happens to corroborate with whatever the fuck happened to Riley? Oh my, they're emotional about you hurting your hand? You're a bunch of grown men. You sound like a bunch of bitches if that's the case. Crying over spilled milk? I call bullshit. Bullshit flag thrown. Not buying it. Nope. You're going to have to do better than that. I don't like that not one bit. And if you think that that answer is going to sit, you are sadly mistaken, my friend.
Had done, but apparently it had to do with a hurt hand that night, and people being emotional about it. Apparently it didn't have anything to do with Riley.
Do you think there's information that his frat brothers have that they're not sharing?
I feel like yes, maybe. No, I mean, I haven't sat down and talked to any of them to say, tell me your whole entire story. Would I like that? Yeah, yes, it would be nice.
Now that you've found Riley, do you feel like you have a different purpose in terms? I mean, do you want to know everything that happened? Is there like a hole? How would you describe it?
Of course, there's a hole in my heart. There always will be. And we may never know what happened that night, and that makes it even worse for me. But yeah, I would like to know everything that happened that day.
I don't understand why they haven't reached out to us wanting to provide information of that night. You know, maybe I'm crazy, but why should we have to reach out to them and beg them for information on a missing brother?
Did his brothers come to the funeral?
Mm-hmm. They did. They were shuttled down on a bus, basically chaperoned through. They were loaded back up on a bus, and back to school they went again.
Do you think the fraternity is trying to protect the fraternity? I mean, in terms of like a lawsuit or reputation, or I mean, what do you think is happening behind the scenes?
I think it's a reputation blow.
I do. Yeah. There were a couple of things that happened over this last week. They had a memorial service for him in Columbia, and we were notified 3 hours before. Well, we know it takes 3 hours to get to Columbia. I mean, I thought this was a brotherhood, you know.
Riley Strain's parents with our own Brian Enton. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television.
Let's keep Riley's spirit alive by sharing the stories, highlighting his kindness, and continue to live the brotherhood he deeply valued.
Okay, look right here in the front. You see him where my mouse is? You see him in the arm sling? You see him on the phone? That's his phone he's holding in his hand. Watch him for a couple of seconds of this vigil and see how smirky he is. I mean, none of them are crying. Let me just add that. None of them seem upset. This is the vigil that the family didn't get invited to, didn't get told about until 3 hours ahead of time, and they lived 3 hours away. So clearly it was clear they didn't want them there. But look at this one with the arm sling like he hurt his hand. And look how he's just too cool for fucking I mean, who they're texting during a vigil for your listen, you want to talk about no one else is being disrespectful on just this little douchebag.
Let Riley memory inspire us to build a more connected and compassionate community here in Hazing. Let honor him not just with words but with action, by being there for each other now and always. To Riley, your spirit has truly united and touched us all. You've shown us what it's like to be a Christian here at Hazing, and for that we are eternally grateful. Your legacy is a true reminder of unity and love, and we are going to cherish it and never forget. Together as a community, we can remember Riley and we can heal. Thank you, Riley. For the memories, the lessons, and the love, you'll always be part of Mizzou's family and our interfraternity community.
Thank you, Jonathan. I would like to reiterate the gratitude our chapter has for all of your support. At one point, we had so many cookies in our kitchen, our house dad suggested to the other house workers that we needed some fruit and cheese instead of syrup or sugar. The grapes and strawberries were a nice change of pace. It was incredibly touching to walk by the Greek houses and see the yellow ribbons on the fronts of the houses.
The yellow ribbons, the fucking color is green, you dickheads! What the fuck are you putting yellow ribbons for, you asshat? Fuck my life. Ugh. I didn't catch that the first 3 times I watched this because you have to literally like there's no closed caption and they have the camera so far away like you can't hear anything but the traffic going by. It's very disrespectful. Like for this to be a visual for a fellow classmate and a fellow brother, this is disgusting. It really is disgusting. Lowbrow, thrown together last minute, just very little effort, very little heart, and scroungy fucks.
Seeing all the pairings wearing yellow at the sporting events during Greek Week was a great reminder that we were in it together. Walking through our front door and seeing the table filled with so many flowers was a memory that we will cherish. The cards, texts, and messages of support are something we will never forget. To see this community come together so tightly was truly special. Thank you. Throughout the past few weeks, there have been several phrases that have been repeated when describing Riley. These are words from his family, his closest friends, and his fraternity brothers. I would like to share some of them with you now. Number 1. It was often stated that Riley knew no stranger. He had a smiling face and was a caring friend. Too many times we were divided here on campus. Riley did not share this mindset. Riley would want us to build bridges in our community. He truly knew no stranger. I encourage us to create new and deepen existing relationships we have between our groups and organizations here on campus. We are on the same team with the same goals. Share a smile with the stranger you pass on your way to class. Hold the door open for the person walking in behind you. Lend a number 2 pencil to a classmate who forgot theirs. Do it for Riley. Number 2, Riley cared for his environment. Some of Riley's favorite hobbies were hunting and fishing. He loved the outdoors and was often found outside. He would often wake up at the crack of dawn, head down to the dock, and fish in the serenity of nature. During his years in high school, Riley dedicated 500 hours in service to a wonderful life. He took care of his environment and loved it deeply. He took pride in it. Here on campus, I encourage us to pick up a piece of trash when we see it, and do it for Riley. Number 3, Riley was described as a yes man. When presented with an opportunity to do something, oftentimes basketball, Riley would put aside what he was doing to participate. Riley found it difficult to pass up on an opportunity to do something. He valued the time he had together with his friends. He was eager to spend time together with anyone who wanted. He always said yes and had no problem stepping outside his comfort zone. I encourage us to say yes to an opportunity when we would normally say no, and do it for Riley. Number 4, at Riley's visitation this past Friday, I had the pleasure of meeting Riley's grandmas. As we were making our way through the line, I heard one of them say, "If you see a grandma, you have to hug her. It's a rule." She went on to say that we had to go home and hug our loved ones and tell them that we love them. I give each of you the same task. Let us not take any interaction for granted. Our time here on earth is short, and our time here at college even shorter. It is the small actions, the little things, that matter the most. Let us cherish them. Let us be truly present. Go out and hug those you love. Tell them you love them, and do it for them. Share a smile, pick up a piece of trash, say yes, and hug a neighbor. Let us not only live like Riley, but also love as he did. I would now like to invite Tommy to close us out.
Trials work with patience, and patience work with hope. We all focus on the things you've blessed us with in our lives, Lord, and not on the past, not on things we can't control. Give you thanks and praise, Lord, for all that you have. I pray you allow us to look to you in this future. Thank you for everything you've given us. Thank you for this wonderful Missouri community, Lord. And many that have slandered our name, Lord, from our house. And everyone in this community has raised us up. They've been a true blessing.
Thank you, Tommy. And again, thank you, everyone, for being here tonight and showing your support. Tonight has served as a tangible reminder of the sense of community, of oneness that makes this place special. Let us not forget this night and the memories of Riley will go on forever. I invite you to hang around so we can be together and reflect. Let us remember to see the good in every situation. And if you can't see the good, let us be the good, just as Riley was.
Could we get a worse fucking camera person? I mean, holy shit, I'm about to throw up. I got motion sickness. Why are they all smiling, laughing like...
Which ones?
Those guys with the badges, the guy in the middle, the guy in the middle, the guy with the white.
Yeah, I think they should be inside.
Yeah, we can speak on one of those straight. I feel like they'd be the best one.
Yeah.
That's like official because I don't think there's no police students.
I think so too. Do you want to just use do you want to start setting up your stuff? I'll give you my SD card. I'm going to take this one back to the car at the screen here. I'll let Matt know.
We want to interview like right here. This is pretty good area.
Yeah, just do it over the weekend. Wait a little bit until like more people start filming.
Tonight, for the first
Yeah, tell me about it. All right. Okay, so this is where we're going to start. This is from Pierre's video that night. If you guys were here the other night, we started going through it. Well, I went through and got some clips of the times that, because now we know that he was in Kid Rock's for an hour, and then he went from Kid Rock's to Luke's 32, and that was about 9:15. So that would mean that around 8:15, he was at Kid Rock's, and this is like his journey. Pierre started at like 9 or not 9, I'm sorry, 8:37 if I'm not mistaken. And this was like 10 minutes into the video, so this would be like 8:40, 8:50, right before 9. So there's a good chance that Riley's in here, and if not, you know, there's a really good chance that somebody from the fraternity is in here. The 200 of them weren't in Luke's 32, I can tell you that. There was only between 5 and 8 of them that left from here and went over there. I would imagine the rest of them stayed. Yes, Bia. But the reason I snipped this part right here is because if you notice, like, there's a line in front of this bar, and the person recording the video, which is Pierre, as we know, like, he doesn't have to go, like, he doesn't have to show his ID, he doesn't have to pay to get in. He just goes up to the bouncer, they touch elbows, and he just lets him in. So, just something I noticed, something that stood out. Could be nothing, it's just something I noticed. So, let's keep going. And look, pay attention to what's right inside the door when he goes inside the door. Yes, this is the same night Riley went missing, the 8th. Supposedly the video is from 8:30 until 2 a.m. We were breaking it down a little bit the other day. Bia, remember when he comes out right there on the where the bridge is at, and he's talking about sheep? This is the same video, same guy. This is just the start of his night. And I had to go back and reevaluate because after I seen the new press release with his parents saying that he was in Kid Rock, that's where this video, with most of it, is shot at. So I'm like, holy shit, I need to go through and look again because he might have Riley on this footage, and it's so, you'll see. It is like a bunch of sardines packed in there. It is freaking jam-packed full of people, lights moving crazy. It is almost impossible. But if there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, I noticed that too, Puff. So he's definitely in there. If nothing else, he's established with the bouncers, and there's a lot of problems that is on like the Yelp reviews and the Google reviews with bouncers that are like, they throw them out for no reason. They're overly aggressive. They're assholes. They take people's ID with no reason, saying, you know, there's something going on with the bouncers, and the fact that he's in there like them, it doesn't help the case of it doesn't help me lose suspicion if that's okay. Now look right here when he goes in. Look what's standing by the door. Boop boop boop. Popo, Popo. Just something I noticed. Could be nothing. Just saying. And she's got headphones on at the desk, so like, are you really helping anybody? Like, are those earmuffs or are those Bluetooth headphones? And if so, who are you talking to? Just something else I noticed. And what is the hell what in the hell makes you think a bunch of drunk people in a bunch of stairs is a good idea? How the hell is that not a lawsuit waiting to happen? I mean, cheese and rice. All right, so that was that one. Now let's get to the good stuff. The nitty gritty, right? Okay. It sounds really satanic, you guys. We'll listen to our own music. Sorry, you guys, I can't. This is what it'll sound like. I can't do it. That shit sounds demonic. Okay, pay attention to these guys down here. Specifically the one in the red hat. Because he stays down here like all night. Something else I noticed too. Let me back this up a little bit. The one in the red stays right up there on the front, and these two right here on the back, they stay back here pretty much the whole time. This one right here and this one right here. Like, they don't, if you watch the video, every time you go back, they're still right there. Now look how fucking packed it is. That is crazy. There's no way that would be where I want to be. Especially drinking. Oh my god, I don't like being touched. I don't like being pushed. I don't like being stepped on. I don't like being none of that shit. Nope, that is not for me. And add alcohol into it, like it's a miracle there's not freaking big brawls every night. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. You can't pack people in there on top of each other with no space and alcohol and drugs involved, and then expect people to keep their damn cool. Like, I wanna swing, and I'm not even in here. Like, you should not know what anybody had for lunch because that's how little personal space you got. That is not the place for me. Nope. And it's no wonder people are just getting their stuff put in their drinks and getting their phones taken out of their front pocket. I mean, hell, they're on your elbow to elbow, literally on top of each other. Somebody brushes up against you, you're not going to notice him, and then think, hey, did they just take my phone? Hell no. And then you got a little bit of a buzz, you really ain't paying attention. And then wait, there's several parts in this video where the bar staff turn all the lights off, and it's like these little blue lights, and it's really odd to me to do that when people are in there drinking that close together, and it's really suspicious to me. Like, that's probably when all the pickpocketing is done, and when all the roofing is being done, is those times that they turn all the fucking lights off, and they do it several times. I feel you, Eddie. Me neither. It's like everything about this place just like gives me, like triggers me. Like I'll start swinging right now. Just oh, I need 6 feet, 6 feet. Back the fuck up. Now see when they all start jumping around like a bunch of. That's what I was thinking too. Catfish, but I guess not. You would think that would be a safety code violation. I mean, how is there enough people? You know, you're no way you could get to the nearest exit and not cause a stampede and people get trampled. Like, they should have a capacity that they'd stop letting people in past a certain point, and I'd say they've reached that capacity probably 100 people ago. And that's being very, very, very generous. I mean, I guess you're right. Nashville. Yeah, that's what I thought too, Puh. And they should have way more than 2 security officers at the front door. Where's all the security for when shit goes south? Because there's so many people in there. All it would take is 2 rowdy people and them to have their friends with them, and you have a full-blown fucking riot on your hands, buddy. Like, what do you do when that happens? I mean, can you imagine just how quick it could go from 0 to fucking crazy with that many people on top of each other and being drunk? Somebody bump into somebody, spill their drink. Oh, you were looking at my girl sideways. I mean, can you just imagine how quick it could go from 0 to 100? And how would they even get to them to break it up, much less be able to control it? How would they even hear it? You know? It's, I don't know. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. And I zoomed in on that little asshole right there. Yeah, it says ZZ Top. I don't know if he's trying to do like a song request or what, but yeah, it caught my attention. That looks like them fucking frat boys right there. Yeah, fucking power of the damn beware of the mullet. No, there ain't no text time. Tammy's in here, Patty. You better go find Mabel. Put her ass to work. Oh, you guys want me to play the Sebastian video? So supposedly, allegedly, this is the video that was released of the night that Sebastian went missing, and the garbage truck supposedly. What are you talking about? I'm using my words, you motherfucker. Hmm. But the clip is only 19 seconds, so I I slowed it down and edited and enhanced it and zeroed in on stuff that I thought was where my eyes focused in on at, and yeah, that's what we're looking at. Get your shit together, y'all. Puff, I think it's from 3 houses up the street. Let me show you guys something.
Let's take a listen to what the Proudfoot's neighbor said she's seen prior to Sebastian's disappearance.
You guys saw on your camera. Right after school on Friday. Okay. On my video, about somewhere around 3 o'clock, get the mail on Friday. Okay. Then they evidently had been out on Saturday because she comes home, she pulls up, he jumps out of the car and he gets the mail, and while she's pulling into the garage, he's skipping and he looks happy and he's running up to the front door, but then he doesn't go in the front door and he skips back down the sidewalk and into the garage, but looks really happy. Mm-hmm. I did not visually see him on Friday with the camera, but Sunday with my camera, but that was when I asked my husband asked the police, did you see who took that trash down? Was that Sebastian? Mm-hmm. And they said yes, because in this neighborhood, if you want your trash picked up on Monday morning, you got to take it down there Sunday sometime.
Okay, so now that we've heard the clip, let's discuss a few things. Friday afternoon, around 3 o'clock, the neighbor says she's seen Sebastian on her outdoor video camera around 3 o'clock. He was getting the mail. Saturday, she sees Sebastian and adds some details. She said they must have been gone. They came home. He jumped out of the car, grabs the mail. He was skipping. He seems happy. Running, looks very happy. She says now on Sunday, she doesn't visually see Sebastian herself, but her husband asked police, "Did you see who took the trash down? Was it Sebastian?" And he was referring to their video surveillance footage, and the police responded yes, confirming that it was Sebastian that did take the trash out on Sunday. So now we know Sebastian was seen on Saturday, seen on Sunday. He was the one taking the trash out. So Katie wasn't lying when she said he took the trash out Sunday, pulled it to the curb. We know the police have in their possessions the neighbor's video camera. This brings us to the realization that the police have information that they're not releasing to the public, which I think many of us assume that. I say this because the neighbor could only verify what she's seen on Friday and Saturday. The neighbor did ask and confirm with police that Sebastian was the one taking the trash out on Sunday. That's all the information that we have from the neighbor. Their cameras, I'm going to almost guarantee, caught more than is being let out. We're in an almost full view of the house just by the neighbor's statement. The cameras seemed to be in a full view. She pulled into the garage. Sebastian was running up to the front door, then turned around and went through the garage. So she can pretty much see their full house, it sounds like. So what time did the vehicle leave the home on Monday morning? Was there any activity outside the home that can be visible by the neighbor's camera? I know for me, if my child isn't in bed and I can't find them in the house, my next step is to go outside and walk around. Was anybody seen outside walking around trying to find Sebastian? The police are withholding information. We all have to hope and believe that they are closing in on whoever is responsible for this. Missing Sebastian Rogers with little to no on day 48 of missing Sebastian Rogers with little to no leads in this case. We do know that Chris Proudfoot's stepfather is back at work working at St. Jude's in Memphis, staying at Horn Lake Yogi Bear, him and Katie. This week we know that they were staying more towards the front. The campground moved him to the back. Thomas popped into the comments last night and said, "I am working at St. Jude's. CP was operating the crane for us February 26th, which was that Monday morning that Sebastian was reported missing. I had issues with his performance and his attitude and demeanor all morning, so bad that I requested him to be removed. I requested him to be removed from the crane. By 10 or 11, he was replaced and he stormed off the job site. We started that morning at 7 a.m. He goes on to say that Chris is back at work, still working at St. Jude's, Memphis, but on the night shift. The day Sebastian went missing, Chris was working on the day shift, and prior to that, he was working on the day shift. Now he is moved. Now we know that he's moved to the night shift. He says that he's seen his truck yesterday when he was leaving work. So this gives us a little insight to how Chris was acting that morning that Sebastian went missing.
Hey guys, we are in Nashville and we've been at the Luke Run and we met this sweet, beautiful young girl right here. We need her family. We don't know who she is. Yo! And I don't know if somebody slipped something in her drink. I have no idea. She tells us her name is Olivia. We can't unlock her phone. That's her last name. I don't know. She's not coherent. We don't know what to do with her. Cannot leave her here on the side of the road in Nashville.
She grabbed my purse and said, "Where have you been? Please do not leave me." And she has not left our side since. I don't know what to do with her.
So if y'all will, if you see this video, please share it. And if you are with this young girl, let me know. I mean, we can't leave her on the side of the road in Nashville.
Who did you come
This is like
here
really
with?
important. I never ask y'all stuff like this.
Who did you
But
come
I don't
here
know
with?
if someone slipped something in her
What's her
drink.
name?
We begin with a surprising development in the search for 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, who's been missing for 18 days. An exclusive look at new video evidence. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Rory Johnson.
And I'm Hunter Hoagland. A lot to get to here tonight. Authorities have scrutinized home security video from that Hendersonville neighborhood, trying to learn what happened to that teen with autism.
Now you can take a look for yourself. Our Nick Barris obtained video that appears to show two people near Sebastian's home the night his parents say he disappeared.
The video you are about to see is from early Monday morning, February 26th, around 3:10 a.m. Now, there are no street lights in the Stafford Court neighborhood, so it is at night, pitch black. What you will see here are these 2 points of light believed to be people with flashlights in the area around Sebastian Rogers' Hendersonville home. It is believed Sebastian left his home barefoot and with a flashlight sometime overnight. Since his disappearance, authorities have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood looking for clues.
We have had several clips that have come in.
And this one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared. You see 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video, you see subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then subject 2 reappears and follows subject 1 off screen. It's a short time later and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area, and that is it. I know there's not much to see here. You certainly cannot identify anyone, but those close to the investigation tell me the mere fact that there is now evidence that someone is in the area around Sebastian's home is significant. This video shows suspicious activity in the immediate area the night Sebastian disappeared. Could one of these subjects have been Sebastian? Did he meet and leave with someone? Sebastian's father says his son would not go with a stranger.
It's up in the air for me because
I don't think he would get into a vehicle with somebody unless he knew them.
So what exactly are we seeing here? I know investigators are doing what they can to try enhancing the video for any more clues. For now, this video is now part of the Sebastian Rogers missing person file, and I'm told it could become more significant depending on where the ongoing investigation leads. We'll be following that. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Thanks, Nick. Of course, the search for Sebastian continues, with detectives now looking into any possibility of foul play. If you think you can help, call 1-800-TBI-FIND.
start? Do we have an estimated time of start for the search process?
Came in at 6:33 this morning.
Great, thank you.
Heading missing juvenile, 1008 Stafford Court, 1008 Stafford Court, Hendersonville. Caller advised this morning there was a 15-year-old male not in the bed. We have white male, 30 blonde hair, approximately 5 foot, 120 pounds. I was going to be wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants. Juvenile does have a pharmacologism. This is the first time it happened. I was going to be in the home before midnight. All the doors are locked at this time.
10-4 around.
37. I asked the phone taker to ask if the juvenile has a phone. Great. Central to 68. And this is fire call.
It is.
Central to 47-180 Warren called. Juvenile left his son at the house. The mother is driving around looking for him in the Victoria Place subdivision, and she is driving a baby blue Infinity.
I'm in the area. Check long haul out, just same way.
You can take me off the assistant or I'll be en route to the missing juvenile.
Next pick track back up. Going into the construction site over here back towards the beach. I'm behind you. It's awful muddy. Do you see any footprints, anything? You shouldn't have any shoes on. Hey, this is all dry, hard packed. I do have some footprints over here. Right there where you're standing? Yeah, leading right over here to the retaining pond. No shoes, just footprints. Shoes that Max went straight into the pond. Max led me straight to the retaining pond. Over behind Willow Boulevard, he dove right into the water. Yeah, do you see any prints around it? There was a few footprints in some of the softer dirt, headed straight this way on the track that he was running. Brooks 47, what kind of shoe does he wear? Size 10. So to any units they're going to be assisting with 1008. Please come to 1008 Stafford Court now, please. Do we have an estimated time of start for the search process? Hold up, just same way.
Did you not have the phone? Great. Central to 68. And this is fire call.
It is.
Central to 47-180 Warren 12. Juvenile left his son at the house. The mother is driving around looking for him in the Victoria Place subdivision, and she is driving a baby blue Infinity.
I'm in the area. Check long haul out, just same way.
You can take me off the assist fire. I'll be en route to the missing juvenile.
Next pick track back up. Going into the construction site over here. Next pick track back up. Going into the construction site over here back towards the beach. I'm behind you. It's awful muddy. Do you see any footprints, anything? You shouldn't have any shoes on. Hey, this is all dry, hard packed. I do have some footprints over here. Right there where you're standing? Yeah, leading right over here to the retaining pond. No shoes, just footprints. Shoes that Max went straight into the pond. Max led me straight to the retaining pond. Over behind Willow Boulevard, he dove right into the water. There was a few footprints in some of the softer dirt, headed straight this way on the track that he was running. 1247, what kind of shoe does he wear? Size 10. Well, to any units that are going to be assisting with 1008, please come to 1008 Stafford Court.
Yeah, can you just, I don't know if the parents will know, but just find out if he owns a white purple hoodie with Homer Simpson on it.
10-4. Anybody that's at the residence, can they ask the parents?
Mom doesn't advise that she can recall one.
10-4.
12 Central.
12, go ahead.
Can we make sure that this has been rolled out to Hendersonville and Gallatin? Also, they were at Dragon Square last night, just bowling at some game. Can you have a unit go there and just go around and make sure that he hasn't returned there? Make sure he didn't want to continue his day.
47 to command.
47.
1011 and 1015 have ring cameras, but didn't pick up anything.
517 Hendersonville is with me. 1006, no contact. 1008, made contact. Haven't seen anything. 1010, contact. They hadn't seen anything either, nothing on ring doorbell.
47 to command.
47.
1023 and 1024 both have ring cameras, so no one's home.
10-4. Command the units on Stafford. I'm going to the command bus. If you say anything, I'll be out of pocket for just a few seconds. Command the units on Stafford. I'm going to the command bus. If you say anything, I'll be out of pocket for just a few seconds.
1012, Kellen Lane through 1020. All checked. 1012, let me go through the entire house.
All right.
The lady at 10 runs the neighborhood Facebook page, and she's updating it to request people to look in their crawl spaces and hidden areas.
10-4.
68-9. Go ahead. Hey, on at 1017 Killing Lane, did y'all happen to check the crawl space? I will have to check my list, but if it wasn't locked from the outside, it was checked.
1018 Stafford. They are reviewing their camera footage right now.
10-4. Are you guys giving them numbers to call if they find anything?
Several cameras.
184, you're low volume. They got cameras checked.
1018, they checked the cameras. No contact.
10-4.
26.
Go ahead.
I want to walk through the road of the cemetery. Just to the west is Beach Hospital. I want to walk through the road of the cemetery. Just to the west is Beach Hospital.
10-4.
And I'll be out at St. John Missionary, 85. Check along. On foot.
Yeah.
Hendersonville 517 to command.
517, go ahead.
Your assignment, all units. 12 all units. When you're done with your assignment, please come back to 1008 Stafford. '68 command. Contact, nothing on their cameras, and nothing in the treehouse behind the house.
10-4.
On the house, Kellen Lane has been checked.
10-4, correct. All houses on Kellen Lane have been checked.
Davenport has been checked as well.
10-4, Davenport. not in the bed. Left his son at the house. The mother is driving around.
Just in the garage. The ability.
I'm not trying to get anything from my son missing, but I am trying to find my...
Good morning.
You. 63 Central Clear, false call. How are you? So.
Do you want me to clear it?
Of course. Go ahead. Do we have a picture yet?
47. Code Red has them on. There's the Code Red has them on. There's the...
One open animal farm near Puppy Hollow, Central Point area. Go ahead. Next big track back up. Going into the construction site over here, back towards the beach. I'm behind you. It's awful muddy. Do you see any footprints, anything? You shouldn't have any shoes on. Hey, this is all dry, hard packed. Alex Stafford Court. LT, we're now headed back south towards the cemetery on the far end of the construction site. Simple, I can see you. I do have some footprints over here. Right there where you're standing? Yeah, leading right over here to the retaining pond. No shoes, just footprints? The shoes, the Max went straight into the pond. He literally dove into it. 1240. Can you send it to me, please? 25 Central. Alright. To Stafford Court. Go ahead. Do we have a picture yet? That's simple. Can you send it to me, please? 22 Central, I'll be out. Stafford Court call. Where the riprap is, where the trees are, 25 feet maybe out in toward the middle. 2 may 1. 2 may 1. Hey guys, the construction zone, there's another pond. There's somebody standing in the woods. It looks like a person. It is a person, we know, but there's another pond. He's standing back there by himself. Past the construction zone in the same area back there. Is that to the north of us? Yeah, the north end of it, yeah. Where they're working on the machinery at, go straight back. There's another pond back there, but there's a person in the woods by that pond. Past the house on the other side of the tree line. Going back toward the beach. We're going on the back side. Yeah, on the back side, and he's not moving. He's just standing there by himself in the woods.
It's Hendersonville 517. I'm on the northeast corner in the cemetery across the tree line. Am I close?
No, the back side.
Nikki, if you can, do you have anybody there with you that can drop a what 3 words location?
Stand by. Let me see if I can find it on my map. I got my drone grounded for the moment, and I'll see if I can do it. Very good over.
1 to 2. I'm in my truck going up to the corner. Can you see us?
Lance, hold up. I'm going to jump in with you.
2, there's 4 of us on foot coming across the yard. Start directions. 19's on the scene.
Everybody's on the ATV right there in that field. Drive straight to the woods. Straight in, straight in. Keep going like you're going. Keep going. Go left, go left. Just come back. You passed it.
Ricky, there's 4 of us on foot on the other side. Pick us up and tell us which way to go.
Yeah, we only have one drone. We don't want to get off the target. And we got somebody close to it. All right, somebody's walking straight to it right there. So walk. There's 2 people right there. Walk like you're going. Walk like you're going. Straight. Into the woods. You should be about 15 foot from it.
What's the child's first name?
She'll be all over it, whatever it is right there. The 2 people walking the woods. It's a mannequin. Sorry, guys. Look just like a person from the air. Hendersonville 66. What's the name of the child that we're looking for?
First name is Sebastian.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
First name is Sebastian.
Simple. We have a last known physical description, i.e. clothing.
Last clothing description was black sweatpants with a white stripe, black long sleeve t-shirt with a print.
Simple.
T3 Central back to service.
Nikki, how many drones do y'all have up? 1 at the moment. I've got mine grounded so I can get Sergeant Topo up. I'll be back in the air momentarily.
10-4. Central on scene. Put 2 out here with me.
Bryce, call me, please. Timbo, who's at the residence? I just got back here. 10-4, has anybody been there since the initial? There's a whole bunch of people here now. In the long house. 12 to 55. 12 to 55.
Yes, sir.
Can you help me listen to the radio on the north end until we wrap this up, please?
Yes, sir.
Brandon, you've got Hendersonville Mountain Patrol coming up there, and Joe's sending some more cars if we can start from the beginning, from the original house, and set up a new plan up there. 10-4, that's what we're doing now, sir. Thank you.
63 Central clear, false call. Oh, yes, a neighbor advised that he's found the child under his son's car, which is across the street, 2 doors up. So be sure and search under cars and under things.
Go ahead. Who do you want to go with this other canine search and rescue? 10-4.
There's Buchanan, HFG down here at the end of the road. I'm going to direct him to the pond. 12.
Go ahead.
I just talked to the GC, the construction bacteria. He's going to start getting the word out to all his crews that are out here working.
10-4, thank you.
He's going to have them check all their current under construction sites that they're working on, and then report back.
10-4. Is associated with 1008 staff report. Supposed to be coming back to a 1008 staff report so we can get a game plan and reconvene. Hey, Target, can you put a drone right over top of this trash can, this dumpster? See if there's anything in it. 12. All the buildings up here are clear. 10-4. We'll come back to 1008. We're going to put people in groups. Send up. 10-4.
16 Central. In service with East West.
12 Central. 16 will be Patrol Supervisor. I'll be Team Commander at 1008.
It has been more than a month and still no sign of Sebastian Rogers. The 15-year-old disappeared in the middle of the night on February 25th. His mother was the last person to see him and says that he left the house with